Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, things just don't seem to work out? You push, you struggle, you force outcomes, and yet life resists. What if I told you that the very act of chasing is what's keeping you from receiving? That the key to unlocking everything you desire is to do nothing. Now, I'm not talking about laziness or giving up. I'm talking about surrendering, letting go of the constant need to control every detail and stepping into a state of trust. Because the truth is, when you stop resisting, life starts aligning. See, most people live in a state of survival. They're always on the lookout, always trying to make things happen. But that energy, it's rooted in fear, it's rooted in lack, and what you focus on expands. If you're always acting out of scarcity, life will keep reflecting that back to you. But when you step back, when you stop interfering, something incredible happens. Life starts working for you instead of against you. Opportunities appear effortlessly. The right people, the right circumstances, the right ideas, they all begin to align when you're no longer chasing them. So how do you do nothing? You shift from force to flow. You replace desperation with faith. Instead of reacting to the world, you become a silent observer, calm, centered, and you trust that everything is already unfolding in your favor. And when you do this, the impossible suddenly becomes possible. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones running themselves into exhaustion. They are the ones who understand the power of stillness, of inner alignment, of unwavering trust. They don't chase, they attract. Today, I challenge you, stop forcing, stop doubting, stop trying to control every little outcome. Instead, sit back, breathe, and allow life to work its magic. Because when you finally surrender, that's when everything falls into place. The power of surrendering and allowing life to unfold naturally is one of the most profound shifts a person can make. We've been conditioned to believe that action equals progress, that effort equals reward, and that struggle is the price we pay for success. But what if the very act of trying to force life into place is the reason we feel stuck? What if all the pushing, all the striving, all the overthinking is actually creating resistance? See, the mind loves control. It craves certainty. It wants to know exactly how things will unfold. And when they don't go according to plan, it panics. It starts analyzing, questioning, doubting, grasping for solutions that aren't there yet. And in that state, we create friction between where we are and where we want to be. The more we try to manipulate life, the more life resists. The more we chase, the further the destination seems to drift. But something remarkable happens when we step back and allow. When we release the need to control every detail, we make space for life to reveal itself in ways we could never have predicted. Because the truth is, the universe operates in ways far beyond what our limited minds can comprehend. It is constantly orchestrating events, aligning people, opening doors, but it cannot do its work if we are constantly interfering. Most people live in a state of survival. They wake up already reacting to their past, to their worries, to their fears. They carry the weight of yesterday into today, replaying the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same doubts. And because they never step out of that cycle, they never create anything new. Their energy remains trapped in the known, in the familiar, in the predictable. They force outcomes because they don't trust that life can unfold without their constant involvement. But when we surrender, when we shift our focus from control to trust, something miraculous happens. We move from survival to creation. We go from forcing life to flow with it. Suddenly, things that once seemed difficult become effortless. Opportunities that we could never have planned for begin to present themselves. The right people enter our lives at the right time, and it's not because we stopped caring or gave up. It's because we finally stepped out of the way. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the best things in life often happen when you least expect them? That moment when you finally let go of an outcome and suddenly what you wanted all along appears. It's not coincidence. It's not luck. It's alignment. When we stop clinging, we open ourselves to receive. Now, surrender doesn't mean inaction. It doesn't mean passivity. It means shifting from a state of force to a state of allowing. It means taking inspired action rather than desperate action. It means trusting that if something is truly meant for you, it will find its way to you, not because you chased it, but because you became the person who was ready to receive it. And that's the key. Who we are being matters far more than what we are doing. Because everything in this universe is energy. Every thought, every emotion, every belief, it all carries a frequency. And we are constantly broadcasting signals into the world. If we are in a state of stress, of anxiety, of desperation, then we are aligning ourselves with more of that same energy. We attract what we are, not what we want. But when we embody trust, when we hold the frequency of knowing, when we let go of the timeline and surrender to the unfolding, life begins to mirror that back to us. Doors open, the path clears. What once felt impossible suddenly becomes inevitable. And the only thing that changed was us. This is where true transformation happens. Not in the frantic effort, not in the endless struggle, but in the deep, unwavering faith that everything is already in motion, that life is not something we need to force, but something we need to align with. And when we do that, when we finally let go of the need to control, that's when everything begins to shift in our favor. Detachment from outcomes and trusting the process is one of the most powerful shifts in consciousness a person can make. From the moment we wake up, most of us are already living in a predictable future, measuring our progress by external results, constantly seeking validation from what we can see, touch, and control. And because we are so attached to outcomes, we live in a constant state of stress, anxiety, and frustration, always worrying about whether things are happening fast enough, whether we're on the right path, whether we're doing enough. But here's the truth. The more you try to control how and when something happens, the more you push it away. The more you try to force life into a certain mold, the more resistance you create. See, everything in this universe operates on energy. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, they all carry a frequency. And if your energy is constantly rooted in fear, in lack, in desperation, then that's exactly what you are signaling to life. When you attach yourself too tightly to an outcome, you are telling the universe, I don't have this yet. I need it to happen in order to feel complete. And what happens? That very energy of neediness keeps you stuck in a state of separation from the very thing you desire. You are broadcasting lack, and so you receive more lack. You are living in a reality where your dreams are always just out of reach. But when you detach, when you stop fixating on the how and the when you let go of the need for immediate results, something extraordinary happens. You shift your energy from scarcity to abundance. You stop chasing and you start attracting. Instead of vibrating at the frequency of desperation, you begin to embody the energy of trust, of wholeness, of knowing that what is meant for you is already on its way. And that change in energy makes all the difference. Most people don't realize that their obsession with results is what's actually blocking them. They wake up every day checking if anything has changed, measuring their progress, questioning whether they are on the right track, but all they're doing is reinforcing their own doubt. They are like a farmer who plants a seed and then digs it up every day to see if it's growing. The very act of checking prevents the growth from happening. The soil needs time. The seed needs space. The process needs trust. And the same is true for your life. Detachment does not mean giving up. It does not mean you stop having goals, dreams, or ambitions. It means you are no longer placing your happiness and self-worth on whether or not they manifest in the exact way you expect. It means you trust that life is working in your favor, even when you can't see it yet. It means you release the illusion that you are in control of every detail and instead align yourself with the flow of life. Think about the most incredible things that have ever happened in your life. Did they happen exactly as you planned? Or did they unfold in ways you never could have predicted? The truth is, when you detach from the outcome, you open yourself up to possibilities beyond your imagination. You allow life to surprise you. You make space for miracles. But when you cling, when you demand that things happen on your terms, you limit the infinite intelligence of the universe. You shrink your possibilities down to the small box of what you think is possible. Detachment is the ultimate act of faith. It is the moment you decide that you are no longer going to live in fear, that you are no longer going to let circumstances dictate your state of being. It is the shift from trying to control life to trusting life. It is the understanding that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even when it doesn't look that way on the surface. Most people are living in a constant battle with reality. They resist what is, thinking that if they fight hard enough, they can bend life to their will. But resistance only creates more suffering. When you accept where you are, when you stop fighting against the present moment, you free yourself from the chains of expectation. You begin to operate from a place of inner peace rather than external pressure. And from that space, life begins to align effortlessly. When you detach, you enter a state of allowing. You stop gripping so tightly to what you think you need, and instead open yourself up to receive what is truly meant for you. You stop forcing and start flowing. You stop doubting and start knowing. And that shift in energy is what changes everything. See, most people believe that their happiness is dependent on achieving certain outcome. They think, once I get that job, then I'll feel secure. Once I meet the right person, then I'll feel whole. Once I have more money, then I'll feel successful. But this is a trap. Because even when they do achieve those things, they are still operating from the same mindset of attachment, still chasing the next thing, still fearing that it could all be taken away. They never actually arrive at the peace they are seeking because they are constantly outsourcing their inner state to external circumstances. But when you detach, you reclaim your power. You realize that happiness, fulfillment, and abundance are not things you need to chase. They are things you cultivate within yourself. And once you embody that energy, life begins to reflect it back to you. You no longer need things to happen in order to feel complete. And ironically, that is exactly when they start happening effortlessly. Detachment does not mean passivity. It does not mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you take inspired action, but you are not attached to the result. You show up, you do the work, you give your best, but you are not living in a state of need. You are no longer waiting for something outside of you to make you feel whole. You are already whole. You are already enough. And from that place of inner completeness, you naturally draw in everything that is meant for you. Life is always listening. It is always responding to your energy, your emotions, your expectations. And when you release attachment, when you stop trying to force outcomes, you allow life to do what it does best, unfold in ways that are greater than you could have ever planned. You step out of resistance and into flow. You stop doubting and start trusting. And when you do that, when you finally let go, that's when everything begins to align. When you stop forcing, stop doubting, and stop clinging to outcomes, you free yourself to receive what has always been meant for you. Trust the process, let go of control, and watch how life unfolds in ways far greater than you ever imagined. And the moment you surrender is the moment everything begins to align.